If you understand almost everything in English but freeze when it's your turn to speak, your brain isn't broken. You're just stuck in the listening trap. And today, we're showing you exactly how to escape it. Hey, I'm Emma.
And I'm Alex. This is the Fluent English podcast, where we talk about everyday topics in clear, simple English so you can learn just by listening.
Today's topic is something so many English learners deal with. You watch movies without subtitles, you understand podcasts, you can read articles, but when someone asks you a question, suddenly your mind goes blank.
Yeah, it's frustrating because you know the words. They're in your head somewhere, but they just won't come out of your mouth. So today, we're going to explain why this happens and, more importantly, what you can do about it.
You know, Emma, this reminds me so much of when I was learning French a few years ago.
Oh yeah? What happened?
Well, I spent months using this language app, right? Every single day. And I could understand so much. I'd listen to French podcasts while I was cooking or driving, and I'd think, wow, I'm getting really good at this.
Okay, so you felt confident.
Exactly. Until I actually went to Montreal for a weekend trip. I walked into a cafe and the barista said something simple like, "Bonjour, qu'est-ce que vous voulez?" which just means, hello, what do you want?
That's pretty basic, right?
Super basic, and I understood her perfectly. But when I opened my mouth to order a coffee, nothing. I just stood there like a deer in headlights. I knew the words, I knew how to say I would like a coffee with milk, but my brain just refused to cooperate.
So what did you do?
I pointed at the menu like a tourist and said this one in English. It was so embarrassing.
Oh no, but honestly, I totally get it. I had almost the exact same experience with Spanish.
Really?
Yeah, I studied Spanish all through high school and college. I could read Spanish novels, I understood my professors when they spoke in Spanish. I even watched telenovelas without subtitles.
Telenovelas? That's impressive.
Right? But then I went to Mexico with some friends, and we were at a restaurant. The waiter asked me a simple question about what I wanted to drink, and I completely panicked. I understood him, but I couldn't form a sentence. My friend had to order for me.
It's such a weird feeling, isn't it? Because you're not confused, you know exactly what's being said, you just can't respond.
Exactly. And I remember feeling so frustrated with myself. Like, why can I understand everything, but not say anything back?
So this is actually a real thing that happens to language learners, and it has a name. It's called passive knowledge.
Passive knowledge. Okay, let's break that down for our listeners. Passive means you're not actively doing something. You're receiving it.
Right, so when you're listening or reading, you're passive. The language is coming to you. You just have to recognize it and understand it.
But speaking and writing are different. Those are active skills. You have to produce the language yourself. You have to pull the words out of your memory and put them together correctly.
And here's the thing. Your brain stores passive knowledge and active knowledge differently.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it like this. Imagine you have a huge library in your head with thousands of English books. When someone speaks to you, you can walk through the library and find the right book to understand what they're saying.
Okay, I'm following.
But when you need to speak, you need to open the book, find the exact page, and read it out loud. That's much harder.
Oh, that's a great way to explain it. So the words are there, they're just not ready to use.
Exactly. You have all these words in your passive vocabulary sitting on the shelf, but they're not in your active vocabulary, which is the collection of words and phrases you can actually use in conversation without thinking too hard.
So how do you move words from the passive shelf to the active shelf?
That's the big question, and we'll get to that. But first, there's another reason people can't speak even when they understand everything.
The fear factor.
Yes, fear of making mistakes.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Why are we so afraid of making mistakes when we speak?
Well, I think part of it is that when you're listening, nobody knows if you make a mistake. You can misunderstand something in your head and it doesn't matter. There's no embarrassment.
Right, it's private, but speaking is public.
Exactly. When you speak, other people hear you. And if you say something wrong, they might correct you, or they might look confused, or they might even laugh.
And nobody wants to feel stupid or embarrassed, especially in front of strangers.
Yeah, I remember in that cafe in Montreal, I was so worried that I would say something wrong and sound like an idiot, so I just didn't say anything at all.
I did the same thing in Mexico. I was so focused on trying to make a perfect sentence in my head that I took way too long, and then I just gave up.
It's like your brain goes into this perfectionist mode. You think, if I can't say it perfectly, I shouldn't say it at all.
But here's the truth that everybody needs to hear. Native speakers make mistakes all the time.
Oh, constantly.
We use the wrong word, we forget what we were saying in the middle of a sentence, we mix up grammar. It happens every single day.
And nobody cares. Like, if you're having a conversation with someone and they say, I goed to the store instead of I went to the store, do you stop the conversation and think, wow, this person is so stupid?
No, of course not. You just understand what they meant and move on.
Right. Communication is about getting your message across, not about being grammatically perfect.
And honestly, when you're learning a language, people are usually really impressed that you're even trying. Most people are patient and helpful.
Absolutely. I've never met someone who got angry at a language learner for making a mistake. Usually people appreciate the effort.
So the fear is real, but it's not based on reality. People are much more understanding than we think.
And the only way to get over that fear is to practice speaking, even when it's uncomfortable.
Which brings us to the practical part. What can you actually do to start speaking more fluently?
Okay, so we've talked about the problem. Now let's talk about solutions. We're going to give you 5 small practical speaking tasks you can do every single day to move words from your passive vocabulary to your active vocabulary.
And the key word here is small. You don't need to have hour-long conversations with native speakers. These are tiny habits that add up over time.
All right, task number 1, narrate your day out loud.
This one is my favorite because you can do it when you're completely alone. No pressure, no audience.
So here's how it works. As you go through your morning routine or your evening routine, just describe what you're doing in English out loud.
For example, you're making breakfast. You say, I'm opening the refrigerator. I'm taking out the eggs and the butter. Now I'm cracking the eggs into a bowl.
It sounds silly, but it's actually really powerful because you're practicing using common everyday vocabulary in real time.
And you're training your brain to think in English instead of translating from your native language.
Exactly. Start with just 5 minutes a day, maybe while you're getting dressed or washing the dishes.
Okay, task number 2, record yourself speaking.
This one is a little bit uncomfortable at first, but it's so useful.
Use the voice memo app on your phone and just talk about anything for 1 or 2 minutes. It could be about your day, a movie you watch, a problem you're dealing with, anything.
The reason this works is that you can listen back to yourself and notice your own mistakes. You can hear where you hesitate or where you use the wrong word.
And over time, you'll hear yourself getting better, which is really motivating.
Plus, it's low pressure. If you mess up, you can just delete it and try again.
Task number 3, talk to yourself in the mirror.
Okay, this one sounds a little strange, but hear me out.
When you look at yourself while you're speaking, it helps you become more aware of your pronunciation and your facial expressions.
And it simulates the experience of talking to another person, which makes it easier when you actually do have a real conversation.
You can practice introducing yourself, answering common questions like what do you do or where are you from, or even rehearsing a presentation.
Just a few minutes a day in front of the mirror can build a lot of confidence.
Task number 4, use voice messages instead of text messages.
This is a great one if you have friends or language partners who speak English.
Instead of typing your message, send a voice message. It forces you to speak spontaneously without overthinking.
And it's still less intimidating than a phone call because the other person isn't waiting for an immediate response.
You can take your time, and if you mess up, you can re-record it.
But try not to re-record too many times. The goal is to practice speaking naturally, not to create a perfect performance.
And finally, task number 5, think of one interesting thing that happened today and explain it out loud.
This is like a daily speaking journal. At the end of each day, spend 2 or 3 minutes talking about one thing that stood out to you.
Maybe you had an interesting conversation with a coworker, or you saw something funny on the street, or you learned something new.
The important thing is that you're practicing storytelling, which is a huge part of everyday conversation.
And you're using past tense, which is one of the trickiest parts of English grammar.
So those are the 5 tasks. You don't have to do all of them every day. Just pick 1 or 2 and make them a habit.
All right, so let's review what we talked about today.
First, we explained passive knowledge. Understanding English is easier than speaking it because listening is passive and speaking is active.
Second, we talked about fear of mistakes and why it holds us back. Remember, native speakers make mistakes all the time, and people are much more understanding than you think.
And third, we gave you 5 daily speaking tasks. Narrate your day, record yourself, talk to yourself in the mirror, send voice messages, and explain one interesting thing that happened.
The most important thing to remember is that speaking fluently is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent.
If you practice a little bit every single day, even just 5 or 10 minutes, you will see progress.
Your brain needs repetition to move words from passive storage to active use. The more you speak, the easier it gets.
So don't wait until you feel ready. Start today. Start small and be patient with yourself.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you want more simple, clear English conversations, make sure to subscribe and check out our other episodes.
Next time, we're going to talk about how to stop translating in your head and start thinking directly in English.
That's going to be a good one.
Until then, keep practicing, keep listening, and remember, mistakes are proof that you're trying.
See you next time.
Bye.